Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the best podcast for the business and marketing side of the sawmill, lumber, and wood industry. What's a woodpreneur? If you have a business where you make money as a woodworker, sawmill owner, selling slabs, or a content creator, then you're a woodpreneur. My name's Steve Larziliere, and I started Woodpreneur Life, Acres of Timber, and the Woodpreneur podcast just for makers, wood entrepreneurs, and small business owners just like you. We're on a mission to empower thousands of wood businesses to grow sustainably and put out great products. Each week, I interview makers, sawyers, content creators, and 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs that know the wood industry inside and out. With topics covering everything from the urban lumber movement, sustainable sourcing and design, we'll discuss the ins and outs of how to grow, monetize, and fully immerse yourself in the woodpreneur lifestyle. If you're a hobbyist, a full-time wood business owner, part-time entrepreneur who wants to become a content creator, or quit your day job to pursue your dreams, the Woodpreneur podcast is just for you. Thanks so much for listening. Now enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. This is your host, Steve. Today's guest is David Hoffman from Timberdust Woodworking. How you doing, David?
Hey, I can't complain. Just in the wood shop right now, and I'm excited to chat with you finally.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, why don't you tell everybody about how you got started?
Okay. I guess I can go. I'll do this short and sweet because I can just talk all day about my journey, but I'll keep it short and sweet. So I started towards the end of 2019. I just needed. That's legitimately when I got into woodworking. I never really tinkered with anything besides just like your everyday whatever. So I needed a coffee bar for my house, and I was kind of looking around. I was like, there's nothing that was like what I wanted. So I just found some plans online, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to try to build it myself. And I had no tools. No, I had a miter saw. I think that was it. And it was from Harbor Freight I got, and just like what you would expect. And I started doing that project, and during the course of a couple months, I was like, this is really cool. And I built it, and I was really excited. My wife was really excited about it. So I was like, I kind of want to like do another project. So then I did another thing for our house. And then all of 2020, I built 8x10 shed, was working out in the
Yeah.
backyard. And then in the winter of 2020, I had to move from my shed because it wasn't heated. So my sister was cool enough to let me in her garage, and I did the winter of 20 and then the spring of 2021 in her garage. Then moved to my dad's shop, which he has this huge barn here. Was his old machine shop back in the day, and it was just like a wreck in here. So I knew the spot. I was like, okay, I'm gonna clear out a 16 by 24 section. So I renovated in 2 weeks, and then I just moved to my little hobby shop in here. And then all of 21, I was just kind of tinkering things. I was here every day after work. Just I would go to work all day and then come to the shop for a couple hours, and that was like I was so into it. And I just throughout 2021 was like I was kind of getting better at my craft, and I was like learning a bunch of things. And in 2022, I was like, you know what? I really want to start posting on social media because I'm learning all this stuff. So like this is what I'm wanting to know. So anything I know, I'm going to put out there. So in 2022, I decided to start posting like every day, and it was just like whatever I was doing that day in the shop. And I just kind of throughout 2022 was really building, and it started to get in my mind like maybe I can go full time with this. And then in October of 2022, I kind of booked my first like full kitchen. I was like, okay, for me to really do this, this is the time. I got to jump and just go full time, which I was nervous about. But I ended up talking to my boss, and she said I can go part time. So I worked in a regular job from 7 to 11. Then I came to the wood shop and was building this kitchen. And then I renovated another 32 by 24 section that was attached, which I'm in now. And then 2023, March 16th, I went full time woodworking, and then just been building kitchens and I'm just cruising right now. So now I'm here. This is where we get caught up. That was a short version.
Dude, how,
Uh,
you literally just started woodworking, and then in a short period of time, like you must have been
yeah,
so obsessed.
that
That's
is,
kind of what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that you went ham, and between like
yes,
eat, sleep, it sounds you got a wife, right? No
yes,
kids
sir.
or no kids?
No
Okay.
kids, no
Eat,
kids.
sleep,
This is my baby.
wife, and obsession with woodworking. That's literally what you were doing.
100%. it totally just took my life over in such a positive way.
Dude,
Like I'm
that's
not gonna lie,
incredible. I
like
mean, listen, I love what you just said, because one of the things that like I've interviewed a lot of people, and they're
mhm.
like, I interviewed, Blacktail Studio, right? Like Blacktail
Yeah, yeah,
Studio, I interviewed him in 2019 when he had, I don't know, like 80,000 followers, and now he's got, in a short period of time, he's got like 3.5 million followers.
yeah.
And what you just showed me is a testament to staying focused and obsessing
Mhm.
about your craft. And like, how did you get that kitchen job? Well, the thing that bugs me
Uh,
out actually is that you were like, yeah, I made some plans for like a coffee bar, and then you just kind of skip to like, yeah, and then I'm renovating a shed. I'm like, you must have had some level of handy experience, did
so
you?
yeah, I will say, growing up on like I'm actually at my dad's
Yeah.
property, his house and barns on here. This is where I'm at. So I grew up here. So I was always out in the woods. Like I remember growing up, just like always being in the woods, running around, riding dirt bikes. And I was like, I actually, the funny thing is, my original shop that I built here when I renovated, that was like when I was a kid. I called it when I was watching American Choppers, like when that was a big show
Yeah,
back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Uh, I had LT Choppers was like my name, and I wrote it in pencil above this wall, and that was like where I was doing. I taught myself how to weld, so I've always been kind of
So
like,
you've been
if I
handy.
can
You've
see
been
it,
handy. What was your job? What was your
100%. And
profession before?
so what I did was I worked for automotive company, so we designed and manufactured specialty tooling for the automotive manufacturer. So
Were
like
you on the manufacturing
sockets
side
and
or the management side?
I did sales for 4 years, so I did U.S. and Canada, and I worked with engineers and seen
So
cars
you've
like
seen
being
things
built,
being
like
built.
actually,
You've literally been around things being built.
yeah, on the assembly line and everything. Even in like in the year before a car comes out, like in those secret rooms,
Sure,
like
sure, sure, sure.
I've been in like those are really cool. So it's like that's what I did, and then I went for the last 4 years. I did a quality control because I got out of sales and was internally. So
Um, so in your brain, you're like, okay, I know how things get put together.
yeah,
You had the
100%.
foundation of being around trees and wood and things being built.
Right.
2019, 2020 came around. You're like, man, I could either get into baking some sourdough, or I could just. Oh my
Oh
god, did I
boy,
make you
no,
laugh?
definitely could.
They all fall off your chair.
No, my
Yeah.
chair
Oh, okay,
popped.
good, good.
Yeah.
Or and you just went ham with woodworking.
Yeah.
I'm
It was
curious, how did you pick the sort of niche that you were going to go down? Cuz like,
that's a great question. It really is. Because as you know, there are
so
in
many.
woodworking is such a broad term. I
So
mean, there are so many things. There's carpentry,
sure.
finishing, there's framing, there's so much stuff. I think I started actually how I started was the coffee bar. Like legitly, I dove head for it's 6 foot
Do you remember
wide.
where you got the plans
You
from?
know, uh, Pinterest. I saw
Okay, okay, okay,
Pinterest, and it was
okay,
like what you would think your standard like barn slider doors, shelves on the side, and it was all made out of pine. Like it
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah,
everything from
yeah.
Home Depot, whatever I could buy from Home Depot. So I did that, but then I built like a table and got into like doing like little tables and stuff, and I did a lot of like I don't know why, but the cabinetry part really stuck out to me, and
Because
because it's
Cabinetry is
intimidating,
cool.
like building a
It's no
kitchen.
joke. It's no joke. It's cool. And it's a
Yeah,
manufacturing process, and you can see a whole thing, and it lasts forever. Like, dude, you did the right thing. Like, you
right.
totally picked the right path. Like, it is really cool.
Thank
No,
you. Yeah, like I've just
so
like
how did you get that project? How did you get that? Because that was probably the project that you were like, you know what? If I do a couple of these, I can quit my job, right? Is that what the thinking was?
yeah, yeah. So actually, it was my buddy from high school. Because like my age group right now, all my friends are buying or building
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
homes.
Starting
And
families.
when I got into this, right? So when I got into this, I started posting on social media like early, right when I was doing it. So then my friends were like, "Hey, can you build me this? Can you build me that?" Like that's kind of like all word of mouth, all friends and family. And then my buddy's like, "Hey, I'm renovating my home. I want a new kitchen in it. I want to give you the work." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, okay." Like this could change my life because I needed one big project to give me enough equity and just cash flow so I can
Yeah,
jump.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And when he came to me, he sure did, and it
How
was
much
like
was it? How much was it?
it was I think that it was 18,000 for the first
Dude, that's
kitchen,
wild.
and I'll tell you what, right now, it would be
Of course,
30,000
of
right
course. Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. You won the price. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. But hey, I am
He
very
got the
thankful
bro
that he
deal.
put
He
his
got the
trust
bro
in me.
deal.
Yeah, and it was like my first kitchen, my first big project. Like there's so much that goes into a kitchen, and I didn't know. And I was like, yeah, I can do this because I've never been afraid to jump. And I've always like my first project with that coffee bar. I had no idea, and I just jumped into that. And just maybe that's what gets me here is like I'm not afraid to just jump into something and just like, hey, I have confidence in myself. I'm gonna try it. If I don't know what I'm doing, I will figure it out. I always have.
So at what point so you use your day job money to start investing in tools, getting the tools you need and stuff?
Yes. So, and that is the biggest thing I suggest to people is when you're doing this and you have in mind you want to go full time with it, do spend much as money as you can building up your because there's so many
So many,
tools. There's a tool for
for
everything,
sure.
and there's multiple tools for everything. So it's like
Yeah, there's a tool for the tool.
I any but I was fortunate enough that it wasn't just a hobby. It was like, hey, my friends were giving me work, and I was just charging them enough. Not, I was not worried about making money. I was worried about buying
Yeah, yeah,
tools.
yeah.
So like every dollar I made, rate the tooling, rate the tools, and then it's just like I noticed that was the thing to do. Then when I jumped full time, I already had pretty much everything I needed to go full time, and then it's just like running and gunning.
Dude, that's
So.
incredible, man. So how long did it take you to do the job, the kitchen?
Oh, dude. Okay, so I think I started in November, and I think I installed it almost in April. It turned to a nightmare. It was one of my things where I thought I was doing good because I was part time initially because I went full time in
Yeah,
March. So I was only doing about 4 or 5 hours a day here in the shop, and I just got behind, and he was like, "Hey, I need this kitchen in, man. Like, we need to get this done." And actually, I went full time on March 16th, and then went right on to like a weekend getaway for my birthday because my birthday is April
yeah.
3rd. So my wife took me for a little weekend getaway, and he called me, and goes, "Hey, I need this kitchen in 2 weeks," and I was like,
All right,
"Okay." So like literally two weeks straight, maybe 16 hours a day, I was in the shop, and I
banked
freaking
it out.
just I
Dude, did
banged it
you
out, and
finish
I
it
was just
too?
like, I did. It was that moment I dug deep in because I had like a little mental breakdown because I was like, this is so much.
And you
But
had just quit your
when I
job.
got
And
it
you had just
done,
quit your job. Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah. You
yeah.
you
So
were
I'm like,
probably going through like a
okay, did I do the
crisis,
right
right? Like
thing?
a mental crisis for like changing your whole
Yes,
entire life. You got this big thing that you've committed to from a friend who paid you a lot of money to do it, and you're
right.
at the same
Mm-hmm.
time learning how to be an entrepreneur.
100%. It's but now when I look back on that, I'm like, oh, that wasn't that bad, and I feel like getting put in those positions where it really tests you as a person, as a human. It's like you don't know how much you can really
Yeah,
overcome, and that's why I love woodworking because there's so many things you got to do and techniques and learn that you are always learning and overcoming obstacles
every
every
day,
day, and that's
every
that's
day,
really cool.
every day. Dude, that's a great story. That's a great story. That's a cool story.
uh, I
Congratulations,
don't think
man!
everyone's
1 year. Congratulations.
thanks. Yeah, it's
What the
it doesn't seem like
what
it.
the
It seems like
how, how
weeks.
how the heck did you grow so fast? You're social.
Um, I get asked that a lot,
Yeah.
and I can only contribute it to like a couple of things. When I decided to post, no joke, January 1st, 2022, I had 738 followers,
Yeah.
legit, and I was like, I'm gonna commit to this. So I posted every day, and I think I did it for like 60
Yeah, yeah.
days. And I think in 60 days I got like almost 5,000 followers, but I was just very consistent. And
Yeah.
I was just and at that time it was like the audio trend.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you hop
Reels.
on a hot
Reels. Yeah,
audio
yeah.
and yeah. And that's kind of, I think Reels popped in 2020, 2021. So I was just right in the beginning of the flow.
If you tap
And
onto a new feature
legit,
in social, you just are golden. Like you're golden.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And it's always adapting, and that's what I did. I things were changing, but I just was creating these just the reels I thought people would be interested in seeing, and it just started building and building. And I think up into October, I may got accumulated, I think 35 or 40,000 followers. So at that time, I was like, oh, dude, this is crazy. Like people are watching my videos, like I'm getting views on it. I comment back to everybody. I message back anybody I can, but I literally will comment to you anybody. And then I had a video that I was doing these actually in the first kitchen build I was
Yeah.
doing. So maybe it was in November. I had this they're called Lemens blind corner cabinet. So like there's these shelves that come out, they look like kidney
Yeah.
beans. And they're really cool how they're designed. And I just made a video of me installing it, and it just went like legit viral. I think it hit 65 million
Wow.
views in a couple months.
Wow.
I hit, I think right this on the New Year, December 31st, it rolled over to 100,000 followers. So like it started New Year's off with 100,000 for
Uh-huh.
2023, and I just been on it like nonstop. I create post, and I think just me being consistent with it and building a community, that's a huge thing. Like build a community that like that will like want to learn from you, because I'm learning. I have communities that I'm learning
Yeah, yeah,
from.
yeah.
So what I learn, I kind of pass down in these videos, and I don't know, just be, I guess, authentic if you want to say, but I just show what I'm building every day. It's like those videos are either filmed the night before or a couple of days before, so I'm like, you can kind of see where I'm at in the build and all
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah.
follow along. And I don't know, I try to be very positive as well in the community, because the community is really sweet and awesome. So
Um,
I
hey,
try to deliver that back.
David, just from your interview, your story so far, and we're only 15 minutes in, I get the sense you're a good freaking dude, man. Like you're
Ah, dude, I
you're like
appreciate
you're like a
that. That means a
nice you're
lot.
like a nice uh genuine good human. And
That means a
I'm
lot. I
really,
do
really
appreciate that.
happy that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that's really I honestly is like for me it's like I I made a switch with the podcast instead of just interviewing just to interview. Like I made an intention
Hmm.
just to get to help people tell their story because like your story, as abridged as it is really impactful, right? Like
Yeah.
there are people with the desire and the dream to pursue what they want to pursue, but like everybody's life is different, but like if you make
Yeah.
no excuses and you freaking go hard at it, like
Yes.
hard, right? Like
100%.
if you go
Yes.
super hard, like you will get what you want. Like you're super hard. And you said something
Yes.
super interesting. You said community. And like you can't
Yeah.
succeed by
100%.
yourself, right? Like you're
No.
learning as you learn, you give, and then the other thing that I saw is that you were consistent. And consistent, I mean,
Hmm.
like you have some views with 20,000 views, a couple thousand views, a few 100,000 views, right? Some with
Yeah.
likes, with 100 likes, 600 likes, 3,000 likes. It didn't even matter to you. For you, it was more about expressing yourself, right? Because there was probably something deep inside you
Yeah.
that you were like, I just need to get this out. And I feel 100% when I'm in my shop. And I want to share that with everybody, right?
Yes. Exactly. Literally, it's when I'm in here, it's I literally wish that everybody can find their thing,
I
whatever it
know.
is,
I
find
know.
it like what I found here. Because when I'm in my shop, it's like heaven to me. Like no joke.
I know
I'm
what
so
you mean. I know
thankful. And
I know
every
exactly what you mean. Because it's like a
yeah,
place for you to play and be express yourself and like try new things and like
yes.
even if you fail, you're still learning and like it's just like this great
Mm-hmm.
experience, right?
100%. It really is. It's fun. That's the thing. It's fun to do. Like working with your hands, creating something. And that's why I love kitchens, because I it takes a little bit to build a kitchen. Like we're talking 4 to 6, 8 weeks before it's like done. And you can see the entire thing
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
And to stand back once it's installed and be like, I literally built that from scratch myself. Like that is, I don't know. I like again, I wish people can get that feeling because it makes you feel such good as a person. You're like, I can do this. I can do anything. And like
I
you
can do
said,
anything.
a
I can
hundred
do anything.
percent
I can
commit.
do anything for sure.
Yes.
Hey, so let me ask you, did
Mhm.
you, are you making more now than your last job?
No. Uh Straight up no. I had a very comfy job. I guess it's that regular story of like just comfortability, and I didn't want to just be comfortable. I felt like I needed something more. And so now overall, I mean, you know how business
Yeah, yeah.
goes. You got to spend money to make money. So I'm constantly buying and upgrading my tools and all that. So I mean, financially, I'm just like, hey, as long as I can support myself and get through
Yeah.
everything, what else do I need? Like I have everything
You got
here,
freedom,
and I'm
man. You
in
got
such a
time.
beginning
You got
stage.
time freedom. You got like you can't place a price on that, right? Like if you want to take a you want to take
Yes.
a day off, you take a day off. You don't need to put a request in.
Yeah, and it's like making my own schedule. That's another thing I love. Just I have a solid routine I try to do every day, and it's just like it's my routine. I'm not depending on anybody else to tell me where I need to be at. So it's like that freedom is worth it hands down by itself. Now, obviously the goal of any business is to make
Yep.
money. But like I don't know, lately I've found myself not focusing on the value of the dollar on something. It's like am I happy with what I'm doing? Like I will take on projects that I want to do
Yeah.
now because luckily with social media, that's a whole nother revenue of
Yeah.
money from social media, which I've been super thankful for
Yeah.
there. So as far as like the business side of the shop, I'm doing projects that I want to do and then creating content from those. But I'm still full time like business with making kitchens, but also with social media is another line of money coming in, which is cool.
So you're like you're essentially you make you make your money, your main income from building kitchens, and then and it's
Yes,
supported by as a creator. So you're part creator, part builder, and your content comes from the stuff that you uh, from your woodworking business. That's
correct.
cool.
Yes.
That's a good model. I love it.
Yeah, and that whole social media thing. I mean, as you can probably see it, it's a wild world because in today's market, it is so smart for if you whatever niche you're in. So we'll just go with woodworking because that's what we're in. If your company is selling a product that can help, like a tool or whatever, to the
Yeah.
consumer, you shouldn't go anywhere else besides social media. Because if the whole thing about creators creating content, the point of it is like if a company comes to me and says, "Hey, I got a really cool product, test it out and see what you like, and if you like it, can you please post a video?" And 9 times out of 10, I do that. But I make sure I test it and it is a good tool because what I put out, I want to make sure it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But that it makes so much sense because then that company has a straight line to the
Yeah.
consumer with these creators, especially like the views could be mostly from like 15 up to a million, 15,000 to a million views on these videos where it's like that's eyes on the prize. And as a company, social media has been a blessing for them and a blessing for us creators where it's like it's a shared experience, shared win-win. It's helping everybody out, and it's a smart way to market your brand as a wood company in
Hey,
today's.
do you get kitchen projects because of your social media following?
Yeah, so I get not okay. So it's really weird. So Instagram, where like I have the most followers. That is mainly all for me. I see like business to
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
So like
That's other woodworkers.
like
Other,
creating
yeah, yeah,
content. Yes. So it's like that is that network. But from Facebook, which is like whatever, that's like to me, Facebook's like small hometown gathering of
yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah.
That's where you can communicate at. I get some jobs from there. But a lot of it's just like being referrals or, word of mouth, friends and family. That's kind of what it's been. And I've been very blessed to have that network of people here because growing up, I've always been like a very social butterfly. So I just was always hanging out with different people, doing different things. So like now everybody knows me. And so when I got into this, people want to support me because like that's kind of the cool thing around here, just, kind of supporting each other. And so that's also been, a pretty cool ride as well. I got lost. I lost track. I'm not sure what we were
Do
talking
you?
about.
Well,
I'm
let me
sorry.
ask you. Do you? Where do you want to take the business?
All right, so that's a really good question because that's always floating my mind. There's kind of there's two directions, and then one direction being like strictly business, like focus on building a business, get a couple employees there to help me out when that time
Yeah.
comes. I'm trying to, my idea is keep this small. I'm a custom shop. Like when I say custom, I mean custom. Anything you want. Like we can, when I say we, right now, me, I can, that's what we can build. I strive on being a craftsman custom shop. So I want to keep the employees small. So we're only doing, these custom projects, not trying to be a big producer of cabinets and like, quantity over quality. I don't want to do that. So that's that way, and I think that's where I'm going to continue to build. The other thing is full-time content
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
creation, and so I'm on the fence right there right now. So the big thing for me is I'm not sure when I'm not going to say the bubble is going to pop on social media. Maybe the burnout will set in on
Yeah. Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. If anything, it's social media is not going anywhere. Like we.
Yeah, yeah, but you know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the getting burnt out from creating content, because if I don't think people really realize what it kind of takes to create,
Good videos.
five, six videos a week. Like, and that's kind of where I'm
Yeah.
at. And it's just like, I'm, I'm working full time in my shop. I have a business to run. Then I'm shooting content of me working that. So it slows me down, changing angles,
Sure.
doing
Sure.
all
Sure.
that. And then I'm editing in my house every night. And between filming and editing and just like being on social media, embracing it, and just seeing what are the ebbs and flows of what's the latest. I guarantee, I hate to say it, but I'm probably on 3 hours a day on social media and editing and filming and stuff. Like that's a chunk of
That's
my
a
time.
chunky time. Yeah. Yeah.
But like I was saying before, I have the routine I have is like I block out my day with sections of
Yeah.
time where I just find that works
For
best for
sure.
me
For sure.
to
For
handle that
sure.
stuff.
Um. What is one surprise about being your own boss a year in that you didn't know or expect?
Um, well, I guess there's more to my story than I've told yet. So I've always been, I guess you want to say, an entrepreneur that I didn't know I was. But I've tried to start up multiple different times. Right out of high school, I started a clothing line when like the MMA started taking off. And then I started a DJing business with my best friend, John, who is a big tech guy, which he gets involved in my story still to this day. Um, so we started the DJing company, which is part time. But then we ended up going together on when the drones started really popping off. We both, dove in and went full time with our own company for 3 years, and we did drone stuff and turned into a full production studio. So we did company commercials, company
Wow.
interviews, social media stuff. So I have that
Yeah, yeah,
background.
yeah.
So
You're not new to this.
we made videos.
Yeah,
No, no, no. So we made videos for clients to post on social media because we're like, hey, you got to be on social media. You got to have a
yeah,
presence. People got to know who you are to know who you are. So that's when I have, I guess, a leg up on the competition. I wouldn't say competition. Leg up on social media is like I have prior experience to running a company, to social media, to filming, to understanding what it
yeah,
takes to
yeah,
do it.
yeah, yeah,
So when I committed in 2022, was like, I'm gonna run with this.
yeah, yeah.
There's no reason for me not to do this. So I do have that's my benefit of the past. But this is a whole different monster of itself. I will say I forgot what the freedom was. Like we'll go back to the whole freedom. It feels like you literally have your life. You are in
Yeah.
control of it. So it's when you work for somebody, 8 hours a day is not yours. You're getting paid to do what they need to get done, and that's just like that is what it
Yeah.
is. And then when you become self-employed, it's not all rainbows and sunshine, but the feeling
Yeah.
of man, I can do whatever I
Yeah.
want. But obviously, you have to
Well,
work. The more you do, the more you get.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool, man. Um, cool. All right. So this is the part of podcast where you get to ask any marketing or business advice. Is there anything that you need help with or something that you're struggling with that I can give you some advice on?
Um, I guess the biggest thing on mine is like when to scale up, when to hire in and do that. Because like I don't know, I am always nervous to do that because I feel like just another person to worry about, and I don't want to ever get out of the building of it because this is what I truly love. I can care less about the business side. I understand it's there and I have to do
Yeah.
it, but like me, I love myself in the shop. So I would never want to get to the point where I'm just like, I don't, not doing that. But so I don't know how to scale or like, should I even worry about scaling or should I stay small? Those are
Because you
like,
don't have
I always
anybody
ask
else
them
helping
those
you right now,
questions.
right?
No, so the only buddy else I have is my brother, but he only helps me on
Mm.
installs. So like he has his own contracting company. So when I do an install, he's been doing it his whole life. So like he's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my
You like
savior in
installing too?
that. I can, I that's like the most stressful part for me because I'm like I hope I measure
I
everything
mean,
right.
first thing is just
You know?
outsource the install. That's it. Like that's the first thing that I would
Yeah,
do is like charge the client,
that's
charge a
true.
client for an install, and hire somebody else to do it. Like you should stay focused on
Yeah.
what happens in the
Okay.
shop, and then you can supervise the install and take content of the install.
Mm,
But it's probably stressful to even think.
I
It's
like
probably
that.
even stressful to think about creating content while you're installing because you're like you just
You
want to
know,
get the install done. It's the last
yeah,
thing that you think about, and then you're like, oh god, I got to pull out the
yeah.
tripod, and then I got
Well, that's the funny thing. Like I literally have maybe 3 videos of a finished product. If you go on my feed, it's all just
process. Yeah,
building,
yeah, yeah,
build
yeah.
process, and I will say that there is something to the process. I feel like viewers not don't care about the end thing. If you just show a picture of
Yeah.
like this is my finished project, like oh awesome, they want to see like
Yeah.
inside, almost like let's peek behind the camera and see what it takes to do that, and that's kind of what I ran with. But yeah, it's so funny because like installs, I'm like I don't even bring the tripod in. I'm like I am 100% here because I have a client there, and usually they're
Nitpicking.
just
Yeah.
kind of like I'm not here. I'm like
Oh yeah,
nervous
yeah,
because I'm
yeah.
installing
Never.
this
You
huge
should. So
kitchen.
that I mean, well, talk about scale. Is the first thing honestly that I would do is just like I said this to somebody not too long ago was just like write down on a sheet of paper the things that you absolutely hate to do, right? And
Okay.
then what are the things that you love to do, and what are the things that you love to do but
Hmm.
you kind of really shouldn't be doing. So it's 3 columns.
Right.
Things you love to do, just keep doing them. Things you hate to do, find somebody else to do them. And then the things that you like to do but you really shouldn't be doing, make a process to eventually replace yourself there.
Okay.
Your highest input, your output is like when you are creative and you're putting videos and you're building. Like if you can stay in that lane,
Yeah.
everything else you should find ways to hire other people. So um,
Okay.
the,
I like
the
that.
one thing that this is the dirty secret about everybody, every woodworker that's out there, they're like, I don't want employees, I don't want to have to take on somebody and lay them off, I don't know if I can
Yeah, that's how I
afford it,
feel.
I don't know if I like working by myself, I don't want to I don't want to oversee somebody. Nobody's This generation is lazy. Like there's all this. There's a whole so
uh,
many thoughts. But here's the thing:
right.
you can't do everything yourself. You are going to get burnt out, and you probably have a high threshold for pain, which a lot of woodworkers do. That's why they do. That's why they spend all this time sanding, right?
Right.
But like that's why I asked you. I was like, "Hey, are you doing finishing? Because like you might be able to find somebody else to finish and then charge a client for it, right? You
Right.
might just stay focused on designing and then doing the initial build and all of that sort of stuff. And I think the next progression of your content could be like, hey, I'm building this business. Like, okay, now
Mm,
the first part is like, hey,
I
I
like
just quit
that.
my job. The second part is like, holy crap, like I'm like living the dream one man banding myself,
Yeah,
and then the next story, like I think you need to go into chapter 2. And
I like this a
chapter
lot. Let me,
two
that's such a good
chapter
idea.
2 is where you start to like build a business, and you start to like
Mm,
think of the story becomes like, hey, I'm gonna hire somebody to sand, because you know what, sanding is not a high value activity. Let's be real.
100%.
Unless you want to learn another language and listen to
Yeah.
podcasts and audiobooks all day, it is
All
not the
day.
best use of your time at all.
I agree.
So that would be one thing. The other thing too is it's just like, because wait, if you could save yourself 5 or 10 hours a week, what else would you do during that time?
I mean, my headaches are right now is designing, because I do full 3D renders and SketchUp.
But
I do
that's a
all that.
different.
So
But
I
that's a
have like
different brain. That's a different brain than building.
right, right.
And so,
Oh, and building, yeah. I mean, I would just be going to the next step because there's 30 steps in the kitchen that I
exactly.
got to go
But
through.
there's
So it's
so
like
many.
that would free up.
But that's what I think. So like for me, I was like, that's what I would do. I would just start thinking about like, what are the things that you love to do? What are the
I
things that
like
you
that.
absolutely hate? And then what are the things that you can eventually build systems and processes around? So like, because look, if the story in the beginning was like, oh, there's this guy, he's like blowing up socials, he's authentic, he's genuine. Imagine what the next set of brand deals are like when you are actually building a business and you're not some garage
Right.
shop person,
All right.
right? Like you,
I like
for
it.
one, is that you're going to continue to push yourself, and for two, you're gonna take your audience on a different level, because right now it's like, hey, how do you do this, how do you do that, and then the next level of conversation is like, man, how'd you start hiring employees? Shit. like
Man, you're literally blowing my mind right now. I
like
love
how
this.
like how the next part is like, hey, how do you so it's like, I mean, dude, I talked to a guy the other day on the podcast, dude. This month he's uh, building and delivering and installing 39 kitchens. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what level? I mean, not that you need to
Wow.
like
The production level has to be gnarly.
gnarly the processes in
Wow.
place. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
100%. It's
like,
so
I
awesome.
for
Wow.
me, the goal would be like, all right, what did you do last year? Like, how many kitchens did you do last year,
Uh, let's see here. I want to say 6 or 7.
dude? What does 6 or 7? Okay, what does 20 kitchens look like? Who do you have to be? Or just even 15 kitchens. What do 15 kitchens look like? Like
Man.
1.25 a month.
Yeah. That runs through my head all the time. Like if I had help here,
Do you have a
like
CNC?
I can just no, but I'm in the works of that.
Okay,
So
okay,
like
okay, okay, okay.
and I know that would be a
Bro, if you
game
had a
changer because
CNC, that would be a game changer. That's like an extra employee, and then
right.
you have another employee to
Yeah.
sand.
Everything.
Um, or shoot, even change the tip of it and make it a flattener or whatever. Like
Hmm.
that to me is like, think about. And so this is not just for you. This is for everybody that's listening. Like, don't think about like 6 months or a year from now. Think about who you want to be in 3 years and start working towards that right now. Like, start putting things in place right now so that you can start being the company and the type of person that is deserving of all of the success that you require.
Yeah.
Because what will end up happening, because based off of your 200 plus thousand Instagram following, is that now, because this is the gap. Most people have a large following and they're just making it as creators. And then there are people
Yeah.
that are killing it in business and they're okay with marketing and social, but they heavily rely on word of mouth, like heavily. They don't have any marketing in
Yeah.
place in order to keep that business going. And so for me, this is what I've always been saying. I was like, if you could take that content creation part of you and
Mhm.
apply it to business, bro, you'd be unstoppable. You'd easily have a 7-figure business. Easily have a multi 7-figure business, especially in your area of Ohio, especially.
Right.
You know why? Because like
You get me all kinds of motivated right now.
because here's the last thing is like all of the people with money are the people the same age as your parents, and then you're like their kids friend that they went to college with, that is like nice and personable and does great work and is passionate and is educating them. You're gonna like every single cabinet shop that's out there should be afraid of you if you
Uh,
approached it the way that I'm telling you to.
yeah, no, I mean, I do struggle on the business end
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like I'm so like it's like like it's hard to focus.
So
Like
hard to.
there's running a business is a whole animal
Yeah,
itself, and let alone getting into a trade. We're in a trade where you physically have to do
for
the
sure,
work,
for sure.
and so it's like I mean, yeah, I can see myself when I'm getting into the rhythm of like, okay, I guess this is the time where I had to do the business part
Yeah,
of
yeah,
this, and I excel through that. But I only give that a couple hours a
yeah, yeah,
day
yeah.
because I need at least
Because
8
you,
in the
because you,
shop.
because you're the slave to the gram, right? Like
Yeah.
you gotta continue to feed the beast and tell the algorithm that you're worthy
Yeah.
of sending a lot of views to. You're tapped into the matrix.
That's you're right. I think about that
You're
all the
tapped
time.
into
Like I
the
gotta feed the
matrix.
beast.
You're like, I mean, that's honestly, it's
uh,
this, it's the thing that most people hate about social media. But you know what? I freaking love it, man. I love it. You gotta
yeah.
use it as a game. It's a game. It's a
Yes.
game. It's a game. And you've got
It
so
really is.
you're probably at the point where you're like, shoot, I've got this kind of figured out. Like, and I met another creator. He's like, to him, he's like a magician. He's like, whoo. Like he's like Neo in the Matrix. He's like dodging bullets,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's because he's not overthinking it. He's in flow. And I told
Hmm.
him what I'm gonna tell you is like now you need to build systems around that, right? Like you have to
Right.
build systems because otherwise you're gonna I mean, come on, man. You don't want to be on vacation thinking about posting.
Well, funny, yeah. I will bank
Yeah,
post
yeah,
so
yeah.
that when
But
I do
that's what I'm
post,
saying.
I see what you mean though, like an automated, like, hey, this gets posted
But
by
like
itself. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So anyway,
yeah.
we'll talk more. So anyway, tell everybody what's your Instagram, what's your website, so they could give you a follow.
It's Timberdust Woodworking on all socials. So Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Website timberdustwoodworking.com. That's pretty standard website. I haven't really updated it in a long time. But if you want to check me out, like legitly, I post cross platforms, but Instagram is my biggest community over there, so that's where I get the most support from. And so yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
Thank you for this. I've been really excited to talk to you because I've been watching. I've listened to a couple of your podcasts. I've been seeing your clips. I'm like, oh, that's so
yeah, yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's I like
Dude,
what you're
this is
doing.
great, man. Thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to getting your story out. Congratulations again, man. That's awesome. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
I really
All right,
appreciate
man.
it.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Later.